Hello, my name is Niyi. Some people know me as Chef Niyi. I am an artist all around. Professionally, I'm a chef. That's what I do by day. But every other hour, I am a musician, a poet, writer, speaker, um, and whatever other creative outlet I can manage to figure out. But yeah, just an artist in general. My two main squeezes will be music and my culinary artistry. Musically, my biggest inspirations, I guess, started from being classically trained as a pianist since I was 6 years old, being drowned in music at home. All thanks to my dad. He's very much the musical person between my parents. Growing up around his favorite smooth jazz and really technical musical favorites, and growing up around music and just having that be some of the first few moments I experienced as a child, it really formed my interest and my passion towards music. I think music is just something I can't escape at this point. But when it comes to my culinary expertise, interestingly enough, my dad is also a huge inspiration for how I got into cooking. I just remember one day being a kid, thinking that cooking is for mom to do, cooking is for women to do, and to see my dad just out of the blue surprise everyone on one random Saturday morning cooking the most random, American stuff like burgers and barbecues that we never really had in the house before, only besides takeout, and seeing him be the one to make it everything from scratch. Um, it was just kind of mind blowing to see not only that kind of food being made from scratch, but that kind of food being made from a man, a role I traditionally thought was supposed to be women's. And it got to a point where I stumbled into a restaurant job during a gap year after university. I realized I was quite good at it based off my previous experience and interest in cooking already. And I just kind of shot up through the ranks, and now here I am, a chef and culinary artist, as well as other things. But that's just, I don't know. I just do the things I want to do and try to get better at them. My creative process does differ across the board for the thing. Let's say my creative process for music is slightly different than my creative process for culinary, which is slightly different than my creative process if I'm trying to create a visual piece of art. But generally speaking, they all do follow the same base guidelines, which are I immerse myself in arts of that specific thing. Say I listen to a bunch of music, or I go to a nice restaurant, or I look at plating pictures on Pinterest, whatever it might be. I see those things and I hear those things, some by some force of magic or something, it combines with my already lived experiences. Something new and unique pops into my head, and I feel that thing so strongly that I have to bring it into real life. I listen to music and I hear a fantastic beat that makes me groove in a certain way. I'm like, whoa, I think I can make something like that. And I try my best not to waste any time at all to execution. If I hear the beat, if I hear the sound, if I conceptualize it, write it down, put it in your notes, or just produce it right away. Because these ideas, I don't own these ideas. They come from somewhere, and if I don't grab onto them, someone else's. Yeah, that's my creative process. Art has served as a huge form of therapy for me for a number of reasons. One of them being, for a long period of my life, I felt very worthless and very useless and very inadequate, especially being in a program that I wanted nothing to do with, failing drastically. Um, Having things in my life that I felt I was actually good at was really helpful to developing, I guess, my self-esteem and my self-confidence. And they also serve perfectly as an expression for how I felt in ways I didn't know how to express. Music is one of those things where there's no words being spoken a lot of the time, but it's definitely conveying specific feelings, and those feelings that you have inside, I think it's very important to let them out, either just by talking about them, sharing them with other people, or conveying those feelings in a musical way, and also expressing that as well. In terms of like my culinary journey, I feel like just by nature of it being food, it is this therapeutic in and of itself. It is, it is a visually appealing to the soul to look at something plated, and it's also nourishing to your body. It's therapeutic in both those ways. I still think I'm just doing the same thing I've always been doing. I don't think there's been any huge change. I guess the biggest change is just that I've gotten better just by just that just happens when you just keep doing something. Um, my music has gotten better, my plating has gotten better, my culinary ideas have been more refined over time. My drawings, my little artworks that I make on my computer have become just better and better just by me practicing and doing it over and over. And the biggest, I guess, the change in my mentality and my approach to art and creation in general, just by doing all these things for so long, has just made me realize that I can actually do anything. I can actually do anything I want if I just put my mind to it. So now, when I want to embark on a creative adventure or a creative journey, I don't restrict myself to any one form of media. I'm like, okay, if I want to do filmmaking, cool. Let me just learn the basics and practice and fail and suck at first. But if I do want to get better at it, it's just something I can stick to and get better at, as seen by my track record of the things I already do. I think the biggest challenge in my artistic journey has been trying to find ways to stay motivated. Um, I know how difficult it can be when life gets in the way. You get busy, traumatic events happen, whatever it might be. It's just not you're just not able to give yourself to your craft, in the ways that you want to. And one thing I've realized as an adult, a lot of the things that have to happen in your life, they will happen by intention. You don't just But back when I used to make beats a lot of the time, I used to have a lot of free time on my hands. I didn't have a lot of friends. I was living by myself. I was like, well, might as well make beats. So beats just used to happen. Nowadays, where I have so many responsibilities and so many places to be and all these things to do, I can just happen to make beats. I can just fall into making beats just because of having free time. I have to intentionally choose to create, new music. I have to intentionally choose to conceptualize new menu ideas. I have to intentionally choose to surround myself with people who are, on the same or on parallel artistic journeys to inspire me and also inspire each other. But yeah, staying motivated is a very hard one. You gotta have to just The only way to beat that is to choose intentionality. Yeah. The biggest successes, I think I'll talk about two experiences. The most recent one I can think of is when I just had this idea to use the jam sessions that my friends and I had been hosting for the longest time with my culinary creations, and just have one night where we're all having a cozy, creative jam session in a space where our creativity is inspired and sparked, while serving these delicious, finger foods all throughout the night, where those will also inspire and spark creativity. And seeing how these two musical and culinary forces came together to foster a room where everybody, I think, unanimously across the board, felt they were healed in some kind of way, they expressed in some kind of way, they released in some kind of way, just through the skills that I was blessed and me and my friends are blessed with, and through the rooms that we fostered for them, was a really important experience for me. Seeing the work of your hands benefit other people is not only good for them, it's good for you as well. Um, but another one that really solidified my solidified my thoughts on the power of art and the power of expression was when I first started dabbling in Blender. It's a 3D art and animation software. I used that to I was kind of messing with it over the pandemic, making little things here and there. But it got to the point where I made this one piece of work, it kind of floored me a little bit because I was just so surprised that me, somebody who I used to talk down on, and somebody who still sometimes today I think is a bit of an idiot, was capable of making something so, at least in my opinion, quite fantastic. It really made me know for sure that whatever you want to do, whatever it is that you want to do, however it is you want to express yourself or create yourself, you actually can do it if you just put your mind to it. If I had allowed myself to fall into the mindset of, oh no, I'm not a 3D artist, or no, I need lots of experience for that, or no, I have all these other things going on, or I don't want people to think I'm, you know, doing too much. People already think I'm a chef. At this point, I already had my musical skill, established. I already had my culinary skills established. So I didn't want to. I thought it'd be weird to try to do more than that. But that's a lie of the mind. That to try to keep you boxed in. It's just don't keep yourself boxed in. I feel like all art you make should primarily be for personal growth and healing. I don't think it's a case of one or the other. I think if you make art with other people in mind, yeah, it could be good. It could be even really, really good. It could be fantastic. But deep down inside something is not going to resonate with you as fully as it could. You know in yourself that this thing you have made, though it's good and fantastic, is not 100% authentically you. And sometimes the audience you're sharing this with, they can pick up on it as well. You know, not to say don't ever think of the people that you're going to share it with, but I think first and foremost, you're making art for yourself. You're making art to express, because part of the reasons why art resonates with people is because it resonates with you first. If you appreciate your own art and you make art for yourself, you know other people are gonna love and appreciate it, no matter what anyone else tries to tell you. If somebody else doesn't appreciate it, then it's not for them. But there's people that it's for. You don't know. You can never really find them until you put it out first. You don't think about them before you make first. You make first, and then you find them. I'm sure of that because it definitely contributes to my emotional well-being, and I connect very heavily to my music, and my food. I think I'm talking a lot more about music, to be honest, because though culinary is my more practical, hands-on type of artistic creation, and it is my job. um, I feel like music has always been more of a more deeply ingrained part of my musical my artistic preference, and my I feel like I'm just more naturally inclined to express through music than through anything else. I think it was my first baby. It's my oldest baby at this point, so it definitely has a lot more for me than anything else. um I know when I put together a chord progression that just makes me shiver, I know that it's going to make someone else shiver in the same way. Like, not that I made it for them, but I know that if I made it for me. I made it so that I would approve of it. I like my own taste, and yeah, people seem to like it too. Yeah, honestly, I like to think I'm pretty ambitious. I want to scale this as far as I possibly can for as long as I'm alive. I know that music, culinary, visual art, these things are ways of connecting with people. They're ways of building communities. They're ways of keeping communities together. They're ways of healing people. So far, my music has healed me a considerable amount. And that's why moving forward, pretty soon, actually, I'm going to be sharing a lot more of my music with people. The culinary side of things, I already see live and direct how I've impacted people. I see people inspired by just me just choosing to cook and create and do stuff online. I want to scale that up as big as possible. I want to have huge teams of people instructing, me teaching culinary classes to kids, music classes to kids, and showing them from a young age the power of artistic expression, the power of not keeping yourself boxed in, you know, the power that the way how art can cause you to expand your mind and way of thinking. I want to bring that to the whole world. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know I'm going to do it. If anybody wants to help me out, come right ahead. But I'm going to do the whole thing by myself if I can. I think the one thing I say to basically anybody of any skill level or level of expertise is just never stop what you're doing. You know you're doing what you're doing for a reason. You have a unique experience in this life that will never ever be replicated and has never come before you. You right now, your experience of life is entirely unique, and the ways how you have interpreted life and expressed your ideas and expressed your opinions and expressed your thoughts and expressed your art can be massively beneficial to somebody on earth. Now that we have, all these smartphones that can connect you with literally anybody, your experience is invaluable to at least some people. So the one thing I keep telling people besides never stop is express yourself because somebody truly needs you. Somebody truly needs what you have. Hi, this has been Niyi Brown, aka Chef Niyi. Shout out to In Bloom Space for cultivating such a impactful force for humanity. And as always, express yourself. Somebody needs you.